And now, it's time to meet our studio guest. She's terribly young to be part of Hollywood history. Mother, Debbie Reynolds. Father, Eddie Fisher. First big screen appearance in Star Wars, which happened so long ago, Arnold Schwarzenegger was still a 7-stone weakling. And out of this sensational background, she's built a sensational foreground as the brilliant young writer-actress whose books are even better than her screenplays and vice versa. Winging in like a postcard from the edge. She's hot, she's hip, she's here. She's Carrie Fisher. Carrie, Liz Taylor was once your stepmother.
Yes, I remember it very, very well. I was about 1.5 to 4, and I think I was most affected by her marriage to my father more than anything else in my life, which is a tragic statement about my life, but there you have it.
Well, did you ever see her since?
Yes, I have seen her. But I don't have to buy the perfume, if you know what I mean. I have run into her at a party. No, I didn't. She was at the same party, so I was sort of in the periphery, where I like to be, telling everyone that she'd been married to my father. And eventually somebody came up to me and said, "Liz is very hurt that you haven't said hello." Now, only, of course, in Hollywood. Liz is very hurt that I haven't said hello? How does it... She took my father away from my mother when I was 1.5. How is Liz hurt that I haven't said hello at the party? So, like a schmuck, I went up to her and I sang, "We have so much in common." And she was very nice and said that she'd heard I'd written a good book, and I somehow brought up my father, or she did, and I said I hadn't seen him that much when I was growing up, and she said, "Well, maybe you weren't missing that much." And I didn't say, "Well, you ought to know." You know?
Liz and Larry met at the Betty Ford Clinic. Is rehab a good place to meet men in your opinion?
I only met people that were had parole officers, but it sounds like he has one as well, so maybe I just missed the mark. I don't know. I didn't know that was to go for the best loony in the bin. I didn't know that was what to do.
Yeah. But the best man is going to be Jose. Yeah. Now, I actually met him myself, and I'm a very, very minor visitor to Hollywood. But he actually built me a wig. It was a fantastic wig. It's very convincing. In fact, I've got it out in the yard now. It's got a kennel of its own. And, you ever met that guy?
He did my hair, not my existing tragic hair, but former tragic hair that I had that he assisted me with. It's limping along.
Is it hard to get married only once in Hollywood?
So far, not for me, but it might get harder as I go along. But if you keep meeting people, I think, particularly if you do episodic television. You know, what are you going to do? So you pretend to fall in love with someone as an actor, and then they frequently fall in love or something. Now, as a writer, I don't meet anybody that desirable.
You mean the people on the shows? Since they're sort of grouped together, they tend to.
Well, they have to make out for a lot of takes and stuff, and maybe they get used to it, and then they get married. Well, in the case of Liz Taylor, my father, he was consoling her for the loss of Mike Todd, which is a service he provides. If you lose a spouse in an air accident, my father will marry you for 4 years. That's not very... Anyway, apparently it is hard. My parents have been married 7 times between them, and I'm just hoping they don't get back together to supply me with a good upbringing. But I don't think there's a shot at it.
It's a new... I'm reading about this, and I know. It's a gentler Hollywood. It's concerned, it's green, it's into the environment and so on. Wasn't the old version more honest?
Yes, with drunken fights and so forth.
Yeah.
I would have liked that a lot better. I don't know that it is all of that. I think they just do drugs more on the sly. You know, people don't share it as much as before. They do talk about having given it up a lot. It's just weirder and probably more subverted, and it'll reemerge and become awful again, I hope.
What do you think when they stand up there? And talk about good causes, and they do put a lot of effort, and their whole personalities are going into these good causes.
Well, that means they have very little personalities then.
There's a crossover going on in America, isn't there, between showbiz and politics? There's a connection.
Well, celebrities have fans and politicians have constituents, so I don't know what the big difference is. Constituent sounds better than a fan, someone that doesn't hang out at the back door or something with a camera. and has money to donate. But it's all show business. I mean, we had an actor. The hybrid is Ronald Reagan. So that's just somebody that had perfect charm and charisma. And people respond in America very much to that. They're soothed by it.
What about George Bush? Have you met him?
Yes, as an anecdotalist and a hypocrite, I went to a party, an A&H.
Yeah. Are you a Republican? You're a Democrat?
No, I am a Democrat.
But you went to the party anyway?
I went to the party because I thought that something would happen, and he said to me, "Oh, hello." And that was really, and the sparks flew, and then I passed along.
But you sort of went for him, huh?
Actually, he was charismatic. I mean, that is the prerequisite for getting into office.
He's very, very well preserved. He's 65 plus, and he's a gorgeous looking man.
No, he's very good. He doesn't have any lips, but I think that's also a prerequisite.
You know, I'm 20 years younger than he is, and I'm a physical wreck. How does he do it?
Well, he has Barbara, his wife, who looks like a masseuse.
She certainly looks like she could give him a workout. Is she, what was she? Is she charming?
Well, again, I just got the oh, hello thing. But somebody else was talking to her, and she complimented them on their movie. And they said, well, who picks the movies when you see them? And she said, oh, Big Boy picks them.
The press.
The president is Big Boy.
He's
So
Big
that was good enough for me.
It's kind of sexy, isn't it?
Consider the source, man. Yeah, that's great.
You're writing and producing a TV series for your mother, Debbie Reynolds. And have you had any difficulties with the men in blue suits, the higher-ups?
There's so much of that, the bureaucracy of working with the studio and the network. And one would have thought that I would have had problems with my mother, but it's been great for us because now we have a common enemy other than my father, who was never that common, though he was married a lot. So I've been her producer, and I get to put words in her mouth, and she does them well. And we've had to reshoot the pilot, but we did not shoot the deputy. We've shot it twice, and so it's exhausting. In fact, I've been working for my mother for 10 months now. So she did the pregnancy, I did the pilot.
I think you write wonderfully about the business you're in and everything else, and I think the New York Times called you the master of the sustained awkward moment.
And this is a perfect example of that.
You're very good at this too. But the show that's really got the awkward moments is that Dutch show where they get married on their love letters. What do you think of that?
Well, the thing that immediately came to mind was that drugs are legal in Holland, so that we could just go down to that park and shoot up and miss the show entirely, which I would recommend.
You think they're all stoned on it? They would have to be, wouldn't
Come on. Wouldn't you want to be stoned rather than watch that show? But I do think that Liz should get married on that show to Larry.
Absolutely.
And he should have the facial surgery done on the show during one of those musicals.
Carrie, it's always a pleasure talking to you, but there I have to say thank you very much, Carrie Fisher. I